The science of the 45 ACP and the short barrel 1911. Short barrel 1911 is extremely popular pistols. One reason why we felt so compelled to do this study and this six-way shootout with these handguns. And you're going to notice that there are 3 Rock Islands here. And the reason there are is because we would all like to have a $500 new handgun that we can walk down the road and feel very confident with and be willing to be responsible for every bullet that goes at the end of that barrel. We decided to make this a test somewhat about that too. And that's why we have 3 Rock Island models here, and they're going to compete head-to-head with some admittedly pricier models. The Magnum Research 3-inch barrel, the Kimber 3-inch barrel, the Ruger 3.6-inch barrel. And here we're going to have the tail of the tape, so to say. We have all 6 models here charted out, and hopefully this is going to show up on your screens. And here we go. We have, by the way, this in written form will be available at BHSpringSolutions.com as a download from the BH knowledge base. We have 6 1911 compacts in 45 ACP, the Kimber Ultra Carry 2, that had a price tag of $799.99, and the origin of that handgun is USA. The Magnum Research pistol was $829.99. The origin is Israel. The Rock Island Rock Ultra MS, that was the 4¼ inch barrel. That was $580, and the origin is Philippines. The Rock Island A2 subcompact, that would be the 10+1 Hunka 1911 there in a 3.1-inch barrel. That was $569, again, origin being in the Philippines. The Ruger SR 1911 officer's model. Today, those have an MSRP of $1209. They remain an in-production handgun, but I have had a hard time finding any in recent history. But right now, today, the best reference point I have on the Ruger is the MSRP of $1209, and then the base Rock Island officer's model. You can expect to be around $500 to $550. We have $550 to $600. Definitely, you'll pick one up there. But $500 is probably doable as well. Then we take a look at capacity. The Kimber 7+1, Magnum Research 7+1. The Rock Island, the larger 4¼ inch barrel, that can be an 8+1. We had the Rock Island A2 subcompact, the Hunka Rock Island, that one is 10+1. Ruger 7+1, and the Rock Island Officer 7+1. How many magazines come with these handguns? Kimber gives you 1. Magnum Research gives you 2. Everybody else gives you 1. Rock Island always gives you 1, looks like. And the Ruger SR 1911 officer's model, that one came with 2. We see our barrel lengths. The Kimber, Magnum Research, almost identical pistols actually. 3-inch, 4¼ inch on that Rock Island, 3.1 inch on the other Rock Island, 3.6 on the SR 1911, and 3.5 on the Rock Island officer's model. All steel frames except the Magnum Research and the Kimber. Those are both aluminum frame. Original grips on these Kimber wood. Magnum Research a composite. All the Rock Islands were composite. Actually, the base Rock Island here, that originally came with wood. Sights are important, and those are a thing on a handgun of this size. And we're going to go ahead and just show you real quickly how that looks on the stock sights for all of these. There's Kimber, decent to access 3-dot white sights. The Magnum Research, different sight system. That one's going to give us a black notch sight in the rear and a white front dot. The Rock Island got a lot of variety here in these sight setups. The Rock Island comes with a 2 white dot rear and a red fiber optic front, and that is a fully adjustable rear sight on that one. fully adjustable rear sight on the Magnum Research as well, and the Kimber rear sight is a fixed. We go to the Hunka Rock. That is a 2 white dots in the rear and a black sight in the front. Rock Island's really got some different kind of thoughts about the sight setups. The Ruger SR 1911. That one is 3 white dots. Looks just like the Kimber almost. And then the Rock Island Officers, the base model. Those are really the military sights you start out life with sometimes. And that's what those look like. That was an important consideration, really, in our look at these handguns. The sights, that's a very, very important thing. Only the Rock Island model here came with an ambi safety out of the box. 3, 4, 5 of the models came with extended safeties. We would not, only one we would say there was not an extended safety would be the Hunka Rock right here. No ambi mag catch capabilities on any of these handguns. The ability to hold on to these pistols is a thing too. And we took a look. Of course, we wanted to make a note of the back straps and how is that. Basically, it looks like everybody stippled the back straps on the magazine housing. That's fairly universal. Now, the front straps, we've got vertical lines on the Rock Island there. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go back and start with the Kimber. We don't have anything on the front strap of the Kimber. On the Magnum Research, yeah, we do. Very aggressive, actually. Very aggressive grips. And yeah, the Magnum Research, just everything about it, it's aggressive. It feels aggressive. The grips feel aggressive. Everything is aggressive. It definitely creates some sureness in the hand. This Rock Island has nothing on the front strap. This Hunka Rock has some dots on the front strap. So that's what the differences were there. And we wanted to get and compare these handguns unloaded weight. And first one, lightest of the bunch, unloaded, is the Kimber, and closely followed by by 0.03 of a pound, the Magnum Research 3-inch handgun. The next lightest, by the way, 1.65 pounds, 1.68 pounds. The Ruger came in at 2.11, just lighter than the Rock Island at 3.5-inch barrel. That one came in at 2.24, and just lighter than that was 2.18, the Hunka Rock, and the heaviest of all was 2.5 pound or 2.57 pound Rock Island Commander. So from lightest to heaviest, the Kimber, Magnum Research, Ruger, the Hunka Rock, the Rock Officers model, and the 4.25-inch barrel. Okay, moving on. The Kimber and the Magnum Research both have 2-spring recoil spring assemblies. The 4.25-inch, pretty standard single recoil spring, often in the 4.25-inch barrels. 2 spring assembly in the Hunka Rock. 3 recoil springs in the Ruger, and then a single recoil spring in the Rock Island Officers model. Now, change out recommendations on the recoil springs. We told you there's a 2-spring assembly in the Kimber and in the Magnum Research. Kimber suggests each 1,500 rounds for the outer spring. The inner spring cannot be replaced, and that I believe is true on both the Kimber and on the Magnum Research. Magnum Research doesn't tell you anything about how often to change their recoil springs. We're going to suggest it's going to be the same or around about the same as the Kimber, 1,500 for the outer spring. But when you need that inner spring replaced, you got to buy the whole recoil spring assembly, and they suggest every 5,000 rounds. We would suggest, as a matter of best practices, you can go a couple thousand rounds probably on a Commander, but a best practices approach being about every 1,000 rounds on that single recoil spring. Rock Island, about their hunk of rock, they included a spare outer recoil spring with a note that says changed outer recoil spring every 500 rounds, and they don't give a recommendation on the assembly itself and that inner spring. The Ruger, we really don't know. Ruger doesn't make any suggestions about this that we could find. And we've got about 300 rounds through this handgun at this point. We don't see any degradation of the recoil springs at this point compared to new recoil springs. So we're going to estimate around 1,000 rounds on those three. And then on the Rock Island single spring officer's model, we've found 700 rounds is decently safe. I'm changing those every 500 rounds just as a best practices approach. How about the trigger brakes on these 6 handguns? Out of the box, Kimber, 4 pounds, 3 ounces. The Magnum Research, this was the light trigger of the bunch out of the factory. 3.5 pounds, 3.6 ounces. The next lightest trigger of them is going to be the 4 pound, 9 ounce, 4¼ inch Rock Island. The hunk of rock came out of the factory with a 7 pound, 4 ounce trigger brake. Lots of margin in that kind of a trigger brake. And then we're going to see in, because these are my personal handguns, they're both 5 pound trigger pulls. That would be the Ruger. And I believe the Ruger came with about a 5 pound trigger pull out of the box, actually. And this Rock Island is at 5 pounds as well, and that's really for my use. That one, I believe, came out of the box a couple years ago, and it was just a little bit sub 5 pounds, like we often see the Rock Islands here. In fact, similar to the 4¼ inch we just saw at 4 pounds, 9 ounces. How about the frame and the slide finish? Probably the winner of that, as judged by all of our folks. The winner of that, actually, we had 2 winners. We had a split for first place. That would be the 2 U.S. made handguns from Kimber and Ruger. We just couldn't find a thing to say negative about the finish of either one of them out of the box. They just perfect. The Magnum Research, and this one here is a curious one. We'll see if we can get the right light on this, but do you see what kind of sort of looks like to be a shadow right here? Actually, that's where the finish stops. And we're going to see the finish not kind of all there on that frame there too. See what looks like brush strokes? That's the same thing as on the other side of the frame. The frame finish on this Magnum Research is just a very poor job. Very disappointing for a handgun in this price range. Slide finish, perfect. No real issues on that. The Rock Islands are Rock Islands. These things come packed in a sealed bag with so much oil that, frankly, these are still, put them in the case, put them in a safe, and bring them back out in a week, and they have oil residue, just leaching from them still. Oiliest guns I've ever taken out of an original case, and quite a bit to clean. And it's ironic that in their owner's manuals they say do not over lubricate. So, but boy, these things come just absolutely covered and just absolutely loaded with the oil or anti-rust protectant or what have you. All the different models came with enhanced beaver tails. And then finally, we asked all 4 people that are our shooters as part of this shop review of these 6 handguns. We asked all 4 folks to rate them from 1 to 6, so 1st through 6th. If it was really, there was no tangible difference between models, and I'll give you an example. Concealability. There is no difference possible to recognize in the Kimber and the Magnum Research guns as far as concealability. They're just identical, and you can conceal one as every bit as good as the other because they're a virtual clone of each other. So when we had that kind of a dynamic going on, then we would have given those handguns the same evaluation. What that all comes down to, and is this: low number on the shop review wins, and there's what we had. The Kimber had the low number on the shop review of a score of 14, Magnum Research 19, Ruger 26. 3 Rock Islands came in at 31, 32, and 34. And again, that is just as where they placed in each of these categories. All handguns were rated on concealability, grip hold, and this is the sureness of the grip hold. Grip hold comfort, sight acquisition, weight, the ease of manipulation of the magazine release was one that we rated all 6 pistols on. All 6 were rated on capacity. All 6 were rated on the quality of the finish. I didn't really actually finish on the Rock Islands. The Rock Islands finishes are what they are. They're a very low end, it looks like a black oxide finish. When I got the oil cleaned off of this one right out of the box, I saw the highs and the lows that you're seeing in the camera, and I was really disappointed. Depending on the light that you're in, it's really lousy. It's just, in my opinion, if you want to have a nice looking gun, you gotta pretty much refinish the Rock Islands, or you just don't have a nice looking gun. To me, it's kind of too bad to buy a brand new handgun and the finish, especially if it's a Magnum Research, for goodness sakes, the finish be subpar. That's really just kind of too bad. Okay, anyway, we had some other quick notes. We're going to run through them real quick. The Kimber, Magnum Research, Rock Island 4.25 inch, Rock Island 3.1 inch, all new in the box handguns. Then we made some notes about the Ruger Officer's model. Enters the competition with approximately 400 rounds fired previously. The triple recoil spring system remains original and currently show no appreciable signs of degradation compared to new factory recoil springs. Actual round count out of the Ruger is somewhere between 300 and 400. We know this. The Rock Island Officer's model has approximately 1,000 rounds through it, and it had a new single recoil spring replacement. And the Rock Island in the 3.5 inch barrel, that is the shortest of the handguns we tested with to have a single recoil spring still working for it. So, what do you think? Who's going to win? Which of these handguns is going to score the most points? And I want to invite you to make a prediction. And again, what's going to happen? Four different shooters. 2 pretty experienced shooters. 1 new to shooting as a novice, and another one not new to shooting, but she probably still considers herself a novice. An accuracy drill and a multiple adversary drill shot with each one of these handguns. Who's going to win? The Kimber? We may find out if the United States can still make a 1911 that is world class. We got the Magnum Research, and we've got the Ruger. And I want to tell you, Rock Island has got a clear advantage right here. We're not going to be handicapping or controlling for the fact this has a 4.25 inch barrel. that really should be a disadvantage for some of the competition, namely these. We've got the Hunk of Rock, and we got the Rock Island Officers model. So what do you think? Who's going to come out on top in this short barrel 6-way shootout from BHSpringSolutions? We'll be finding out in our next session. I'm Mark Allen, BHSpringSolutions LLC, and BHSpringSolutions.com.